Hey class, welcome to your next week of your social psych class, Psych 257. We're just going to take a few minutes here and kind of recap some of the aspects of your final project, what the expectations for all the work that you're going to be putting into this project. In addition to, we're going to touch base on what's due for this particular week, and in addition to just a couple other little random announcements for the class. And then we're going to cover a couple elements within the chapter as well that I think are kind of important to get maybe a little bit more of a typical kind of standardized class environment on the topics. So we're going to do that for probably about like 10 minutes, so about a 10-minute video. I'm going to shoot for that this time. So like I said, you're reading chapter 5 for this week. And you're going to be watching Connect video, which is all about how biology and culture shape the different social roles that we have in our society. And it really is quite an interconnected and reactionary kind of relationship that's involved. And then the only role assignment that you have due this week is discussion board 6-1. And so this is a little bit of a lighter week for course load. So I would definitely consider maybe taking a few minutes looking through the grade center, seeing where you might be missing a couple assignments. If you'd like to try to submit something late, certainly please do so. Let me know if something doesn't look quite right or you'd like to reattempt an assignment. We certainly can make accommodations. Again, just to reiterate, the goal for these classes is not to punish you because you have a life and you're doing a lot of different stuff and you're busy. I genuinely want you to, yes, get a good grade, and of course, take away something and learn something from the course, from the material. But ultimately, this is just to experience social psychology and see the things that you find interesting about it. And I want you to learn quite a few aspects of how it fits into your life and the life that you have around you. We are a social people, and this is social psychology. So kind of see how it all fits in big picture. As well as learning some of the specific theories and how they kind of apply to you as well. So that means that all of these assignments are hopefully going to help you and benefit you in your life. And I want you to be able to get something out of them, do a great job, provide a great product as well. So submit something that's very academic in nature, that's well written, that's edited, but also you are able to balance your life. And you're able to still prioritize your family, and if you have a full-time job, part-time job, you are able to get everything done in a nice kind of harmonious manner. So that being said, this is a good week to try to do that, and certainly please email me if you have any questions or if you'd like to submit something different for a reattempt on assignment. We can make accommodations. Just let me know. So that being said, I created the way that the assignments kind of broke down for the final project, there were some elements that were a little bit confusing, and there were definitely parts that you guys are seeing for the first time. This notion of a research gap. This might be your first encounter with looking for one of those and finding one of those and making one up for yourself based upon information you've learned in the class and what you read from your articles. So that being said, you've got these great rubrics that are out there, but you didn't have a final project template. So I went and made a template for you guys, and essentially I want your papers to look just like that template. It's already APA formatted, so that means that you could take that and you could copy it. I give you permission to copy and paste, all of my headings that I've created for you. Use this as your document, and then I want you to fill it in with your information. Don't leave the instructions in there, because obviously I know that you didn't take the time to go back through and edit it. But please do so. This way you for sure are going to be following the rubric that you're going to be graded on. Ultimately, you should get a pretty good grade and submit a pretty good high quality product if you just use the template and follow the instructions. Everything in SNHU tends to be a little bit wordy, and it's very thorough. Please understand that's because this is an online medium. You're not face-to-face with an instructor where you can just, next Tuesday ask them a question that you had, or, you're going to see them and you can ask them that question, and you're going to be reminded of 4 different things while you're in class. That's not how this works, and so you do need a lot of in-depth instructions. So in the template, you do see some meaty paragraphs there of instructions of giving you just the requirements of the project for that section, in addition to some hints on how to do it best. So please take your time and read it through as best you can. Okay, moving on here. So chapter 5 in your textbooks, we're talking about genes, culture, and gender. All of this is influenced by human nature, which is evolutionary driven, but it's culturally organized. So, it's something you'll understand about psychology is that every part of it overlaps with another part. And why is that? It's because the human species is a very complex, dynamic, interwoven species, and there are so many different levels of interaction with each other that we have. So every part of psychology is going to have some overlap with another part of psychology. And every other field is going to have some, tree branch that kind of links back to some elements of psychology. You can always apply some things that you learn in this class to other fields. So that definitely comes with evolution and why we're created as the species that we are, how being social has helped us survive. That's definitely a mechanism that has helped us become the species that we are today. And then now we're in groups that are dominated by culture. And how does that impact who we are as a people? So kind of moving into that a little bit more is this notion of natural selection. So essentially, these were the different traits that enabled an organism to survive through the years. And because they survived, they were able to pass those genes down. This is a really interesting point when you think back to the basics of this point. How do you think our contemporary societies have altered or adjusted the impact of natural selection today? With all of our modern medicine, modern technology, how we've all become so globalized. I mean, how does everyone survive for a reason? Or is there, this is definitely a controversial topic. Is there any natural selection nowadays? What does that mean for us as a species? So when you look at it more like as a species kind of thing, you're taking the humanity away from it a little bit, but just think about it like that, just to explore that aspect of how we all fit together in that way. Additionally, evolutionary psychology, essentially that branch of psychology is looking at the different behaviors, cognitions, emotions, the different things that a cat will do to get attention, which is to come say hello. Crazy. All of these things have helped us to survive and thrive as a species. A foundation for understanding where this capacity to have a thought or behavior came from, essentially. It kind of looks at how nature and nurture really work together to form us as well. Different cultures, this is definitely a fairly newer phenomenon, newer in the grand spectrum of things as far as us becoming a species and everything. It impacts how we work together, though, as a people. I think you can definitely look at how that would apply here as well. Epigenetics is another really interesting field of science. Your book does a really great job of breaking it down into a pretty simple explanation. I remember the first time I saw epigenetics a million years ago, and it was so confusing that I just lost my mind. And this is a lot better way of explaining it. So it's the field of study that's looking at the way that genes express themselves. And they're going to express themselves based upon different environments, genetic codes, and the combination that kind of make up gene activity. So specifically the different environments that you're in are going to make a particular thing come out in you because you need that gene to activate to survive, to work together. So like I said, it's looking at gene expression due to the different genetic codes are within somebody, and then the combination of the environment and the genetic codes that make up the active gene within that person and representative, within that person. So that being said, do you think that there's a universal culture? Is there something about us, because we are all the same species, where we all have some sort of foundation between each other? There is essentially a universal foundation for kind of the development of all people, but especially in contemporary society, we do see that culture tends to shape us a lot. And culture meaning religiosity, meaning the type of environment you're in, more deciduous tribes. Are you industrialized, post-industrialized? There's a lot of different things that factor into that. That was socially constructed things that exist because we are a social species. Again, so you can see how social psychology can have its roots, or not roots, but ties into evolutionary psychology kind of nicely as far as explaining why we do the things we do as a society, as a people. And you as the individual, how do you fit into that? So definitely consider this whole universal culture when you think of moral development. Is there a common set of universal morals? I think that is a great question. Is there even a possibility for this? Sam Harris is somebody that if you find this question intriguing, you might want to look into some of the books that he's written. He's a philosopher and a neuroscientist that take this into consideration in a couple books. So that's a good guy to go research as well. Within our different cultures, we develop different norms, different proper expected behaviors based upon what the majority determination is. These cultures tend to vary a lot based upon individual choices, expressiveness, punctuality, rules, and personal space is another aspect. Do we see, some differences across cultures in these things? Well, we actually do see that there's a universal friendship norms, this whole theory of mind within each other. Different cultures always have this. It allows for empathy. Different trait dimensions, good and bad, so being able to tell that something is good or bad. Just social social belief dimensions, cynicism of things, social complexity, reward for application, spirituality, and fate control. These different things are something that it seems like almost all cultures have a tendency to have a belief in. You also see culture impacting females and males, the different gender roles is definitely something that's biologically driven to some degree. This is kind of your biology, but then you see gender as more of kind of a social aspect, the social normed behaviors based upon what we deem appropriate. The color blue, the color pink, there's nothing innate about those colors that say it should be for a girl or should be for a boy, as I'm wearing pink today. But essentially it exists because our social norms have said that that's what we want to do. We have put, we've kind of stereotyped. We've taken a couple of different behaviors and we've just run with them a little bit out of control. So if men have been masculine due to more testosterone in their body, we've exploded that belief into everything that they are. Whereas in actuality, men fall on the spectrum where they could be very, very sensitive to none whatsoever, based upon maybe their biology, how much hormones they have, or how they were raised. Nature and nurture definitely play an impact. So as you see, all of these different things overlap with each other and have a relationship. In addition to that, kind of going along the lines of the female-male aspect, you see that too in contemporary life with the different jobs that we're supposed to have, how our industries have developed. Different countries have expectations on who can work what. That's definitely, it goes back to kind of the physicality aspect, but then we've just run away with it. Luckily our society here in the United States, we are very post-industrialized. We are a little bit more progressive thinking as far as what's acceptable. And those gender norms and gender roles aren't quite as strict as they are in some other cultures. So that's another aspect to focus on as far as when you do consider culture differences and different roles and things. Our social and civilized development as a species, as it's taken, years to finally develop. And we definitely have overcome the more lizard brain that drives us to survive. And now we are mostly focused and wrapped up on how we interact with each other on a more civilized and social aspect. So your different biological and cultural explanations of things tend to interact with each other to give you the socialized species that we have now today in contemporary society. So anyway, that's kind of a brief explanation for what your chapter is talking about. I kind of walked through a little bit of all of it. Like I said, your discussion board 6-1 is due this week and try to get that finished. And let me know if you're having any issues with the aspects of the final project. I'm certainly willing to do phone chats as needed as well. So have a good week, and thanks for tuning in. Bye, guys.